Hi, Cliff Bray here. I want to discuss installing this roller shade and valance here. Now this particular one was bought at Lowe's under the brand name Bali. It was a Bali Cascade inside mount roller shade. However, when I got the instructions, it actually said on there it was made by Springs Window Fashions. I think that these are sold under a variety of different names. Again, this one was sold under the name Bali blinds, but you may have a similar blind that you're working on that was made by Springs Window Fashions that is sold by a different name, maybe at Home Depot or Walmart. But here's the deal. I wanted to put this on two different windows. And here is the installed shade on this window. And there's the valance right there. And works just fine here. There we go. So nicely installed, just the way I would want it. But it took me a long time to figure out how to get it to work like this, okay? So let me tell you what my experiences were, and maybe it'll make it easier for you. First of all, the directions are a little bit confusing because when you start up here, it talks about how to install, goes through and just shows you one of the different types of blinds. Now the ones that I have here are the ones with a contour valance. If you're not installing, if you're just doing the roller shade without a valance, then some of what I say here will not be applicable. Or if you have this different kind of valance, with cassette valance, I don't really know anything about that. What I have is this contour valance and the roller shade itself. So when you go through the instructions here, it just says, okay, like what do you need? What are the different types of things that are included? It gives you what's included in the kit, tells you what kind of things that you need. Now, one thing it says here is it does say that you will need a drill with a 1/16 bit. So we'll come back to that in just a minute. But here's where the instructions get a little confusing, because after you read through just this basic stuff of what the shades are all about, now you think you would come up here to step one, right? And it says what to do and mark a location. If you do that, if you just come right up here as you're coming down, you know, this side, and you go up here to number one, that's not where you should be if you are putting up the roller shade with the contour valance. And you'll figure that out as you come down here and start figuring out, like, this doesn't make any sense. I shouldn't be doing this. I don't understand. Well, then all of a sudden you will get down to here where it says optional contour valance, okay? So this is where you should start, right here. But there's nothing up here that says installing the roller shade without a valance. That's what it should say up here. But it doesn't. It doesn't say that down here or over here or anything. So just point that out real quick. So you start right here, okay? And so it goes through and it tells you what to do. And over here, continues on the other side with step 2, step 3, step 4, 5, 6, all the way down. However, as you go through here, I found it's telling you to do things which did not work for me. One of the things is it shows you these measurements here for marking where these connectors will go, these clips. And these clips are a little bit easy to kind of look at because they have a different type of end. One has a hook-like end like that. The other, it just kind of comes up flat there, straight. So what they show you here is you should take the valance, flip it over. I have measured it already with that line right there. And what they want you to do is to install this clip with this end right there, the hook type end, right up against that line. When you do that, it causes the clip to hang over the edge about 1/4 of an inch there. And it even shows that here in the drawing. See, it shows that, you know, it hangs over right there. See that? If I do that on my window over there, it causes this valance to stick out where it's not flush like it is right there. It's sticking out where I can see the edge, you know, out here. You know, it's not the way it's supposed to be installed. So right away I figured out, well, for my particular depth there of the window opening, I am going to have to push it back here. So that means instead of drilling the holes here and here, they should be drilled over here and here. You can see the difference. So you may have the same problem, because I believe these window openings are all kind of standard there in size. So just be aware of that particular thing. It took me a little bit of time to find out. The next thing that I found out was it wants you, after you mark these holes, it wants you to carry this valance here over to the window. And it wants you to like get on a ladder and hold the valance up there where it would go in the window slot there. And as you're holding it up there, they want you then to get a drill, and they say to drill the holes through the valance here directly into the top of the window opening up there where it will go. And that sounds kind of okay, you know, sounds good because it'll be definitely lined up. Well, that's pretty hard to do. Let me tell you what, standing on a ladder, trying to hold that valance in the right position, hold a drill in your other hand is hard to do, and there's no need to do that. So instead of using the 1/16 of an inch bit that they tell you to use, instead I recommend you use a 1/4 inch bit and just drill these holes right here on, you know, on a table or something, you know, away. Don't be trying to drill the holes through the valance while you're holding it up there. Just drill them right here, but drill them big, big hole there. So when you put that screw in there, it's got a little bit of leeway one way or the other, wherever the hole winds up that you drill inside the window opening there. Then what I recommend is after you drill those 1/4 inch holes here and here, now you go up there on a ladder, you hold the valance all the way in there nice and flush like that one over there is. You take a pencil and you mark the middle of that 1/4 inch hole and you drill. You take the valance down, and wherever you marked it with the pencil, you drill your now 1/16 inch hole for the screws to go into. Much easier, so easy compared to trying to do it all while you're on a ladder there. Next thing is, they have, in my opinion, incorrectly told you how to put this clip in. In my opinion, it should not go with this hook end towards the back. Again, that's kind of, I call that the hook end right there, because as you roll the roller blade down, it clicks into there. There's this little thing here that moves. Let me bring it back. It's plastic there, and you can push that and it slides. See there? Turn it around like this right there. You push it and it slides in. The one in here actually has it labeled. Has it labeled as it says push on it. However, let me find it here, right there. See, it says push. Well, mine doesn't say push on it at all, but it doesn't take you long to figure out which end of this has the push. That end there, in my opinion, should not go to the inside of the valance. You should turn it 180 degrees, just like that, okay? So where now the push end is right here. What I found is when it comes time, after you have now screwed the valance in through these holes, and again, I think this should be flush there, not sticking out like that. After you have screwed the screws in through here, and the valance is now in place, they want you to take the shade right here, and they want you to put it in one side of the rollers and roll it back and have it click into place. what I found was if you install this clip the way they want you to, with the hook end inside, it is darn hard to get it back in there and to roll it. So if you turn it around the other way, I found that you can insert it into the hook end there and roll it back and have it click into place. I mean, it is easy. After you've got the valance up there with these clips, screwed into place just like that, when it comes time to roll this shade into place, it should just, you just put it into one side of that bracket and it should just roll over and click in. What I found when I was trying to do it the other way, with the clips turned the way they said, it was like I just wanted to try to force it, almost like use a hammer to get it to click into place. And that's not the way it needs to be. It can be easily clicked into place. Now the reason they have this push here is you may want to take it out someday. Even turning it around 180 degrees this way versus like this, you can still reach this push with no problem at all. You might put a screwdriver up there or something to help you, but you can get the shade back down. But you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to take that shade down, so it kind of becomes immaterial. Now here's something else. When I got the shade, it had this paper around it here. And it says on here, do not remove paper banding until shade is installed. What they should have done when they wrapped this was wrap it to where this part right here, this is the bottom rod of the shade. Right there is the grip. That's where you'll grab it right there and you'll pull it down once it's installed. This bar, when they put this paper around here, should have been wrapped around. They should have just, rolled it a little bit more, had that bar up here, and then put the paper on. But whoever put this paper on pulled the shade out just a little bit and thought, oh, it looks like it fits right here nice and good, which it does. And they put the paper on. Well, when they did that, they cover up the area here where it clips in. This paper has to be, I'm going to do it right now here. This paper has to be taken off before you can now get to this area here. You see what I'm talking about? This area here is where the clips go. If you're trying to install this shade with the shade bar wrapped up here on the top like that with that paper, there's no way it's going to work. And I mean, you'll figure that out right away. But it is very, very misleading. It's just whoever instructed the person to put the paper on, paper should have gone on just like this. Still would have fit in the box just fine. You could have left the paper on. Now you could take it and you could roll the shade into place and click it, then take the paper off, but not the way it came on mine. So maybe yours was packaged differently, but let you know that it does have to come off. It's possible there was some kind of a communication error when they wrote this on here, when they say, do not remove paper banding until shade is installed. Maybe they meant don't remove the paper until you're ready to click it into place. But I'm going to go ahead now and just put the other clip down here. So if you can now just imagine that that is screwed in and that is screwed in, and down here would be the top of the window, it'd be upside down. Now it's time to get up on a ladder. You take this part right here, you can see these little ridges in here. You put one of these right here into the back of the clip, and then you roll it into the other side of the clip where the spring is, and it should just clip. It should just clip right in with no problem at all. Now that will mean you roll it in the opposite direction of what it shows here in the pictures here, where it shows you, that shows it right there. See here it shows you rolling it back up against the valance. What you should do is put it up on this side of the valance and roll it this way. And you'll be able to figure that out real easy if you install the clips backwards like that as to which way they go in first. And again, it should just, just click into place with ease. So, Took me, no kidding, about an hour to install that one right there because one, I couldn't figure out why the valance itself would not fit into the window opening, because after I measured all of this and was going to put where these are, the end of these was forcing the valance end here to stick out and exposed in the room where I could actually see this end. Two, the clips, once I would slide them in like that, when I was trying to then roll the valance into place, I was having difficulty doing that, so I figured out that if I turn them around the other way, and again, put them right flush up against here, that it will just roll and click right into place. And the third thing was because I did try to hold this up here with that paper on there, and I figured out there's no way this thing was, this top here was covering, it's covering there, the place where the clips need to go. So, no, the paper has to come off first. So, I will say this, a very good blind, works extremely well. Filters the light the way it says it's supposed to. It's very pretty, at least in our house here. The way this valance fits there just perfectly flush there. It's just, it would not have been that way if I followed the directions. It would have been sticking out into the room here about a quarter of an inch or more. It would have been kind of unsightly. They make caps that can go on the end of those if you do have a very shallow window opening, but this did not come with those caps, so we did not order those. So if you're wanting it to look like that, you really cannot follow the directions the way that they are. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope that it will help you. Just real quick, directions. Read all of this stuff right here. But if you are installing it with the valance, you don't start up here. You start down here where it says, optional contour. It's just, this is the number 1 up here, okay? And you just think you would start right there. But this is where you really start. It just doesn't, it should be labeled up here that says don't install, or this is where you install it without the valance. Again, don't use a 1/16 bit when you drill the holes here. Use a bigger bit to give you a little bit of leeway either way as you put it up there. Do not install the clips with the overhang like that unless you have a deeper window opening than I do, but install them where it's flush, and don't put that clip in to the back, but put, I should say the hook end, but put it the 180 degrees just like that, and you will find that it can roll into place much easier. And then of course, you have to take that paper off if yours was packaged the way mine was. So, good luck as you begin to install your Bali blinds there, or spring windows fashion blinds. And I think following those 5 or 6 things that I just told you to do, and again, as you roll that in, you will be rolling it back to front. So you'll put the clip in here, which this is the back here once it's installed, because there's the valance that faces the front. You put the area right there along the blinds channel in here, and then you roll it back towards the valance. What they say is to put it here and then roll it this way. That is tough to do once you get this all installed. Just reviewing my notes here to see if there was anything else I left off, and I don't think that there was. Again, this is for installing the Bali blind bought at Lowe's with the valance, but without the valance end caps here. Again, if you have the end caps for the valance, which are shown right there, then it's going to be a little bit different, and you'll have a different look if you have those end caps than the nice flush look there. But you may be stuck with that if your window opening's not big enough. So I'm gonna, now, like I said, it took me almost an hour to do this one here. I think I'm gonna do this one here now, and I bet it takes me less than 5 minutes to install it, now that I've kind of worked out all of these different problems that now you are aware with the way the blinds are packaged when they come, the way the directions are and the size of bits that they tell you to use, and the procedure they tell you to use for drilling the holes into the top of the window opening by holding that valance up there and drilling through the valance into the window frame. Sounds like a good idea, but it's really not necessary at all. Much easier to drill the holes here on a nice flat surface and make those holes about 1/4 of an inch, and then just hold the valance up there, mark the holes with a pencil, put the valance down, go back up there, drill the little pilot holes with a 1/16 inch drill bit, and then put the valance up there and screw it in through the brackets, 180 degrees out from the way they are in the instructions. See you back here in about 5 minutes. So back with you, and the shade is not up there. The reason is when I put the valance up there to see how it would fit, it did not fit as well as the first shade that I put up. You can see how that shade there is very flush with the edge of the wall there, the edge of the window opening on both sides. For this window opening, the valance stuck out about 1/8 of an inch and just was not real sightly, because when you take a look at the edge of this, you don't want to be able to see this from the side, about like above my finger there, like was sticking out, see? So what I did, just to let you know, in case you run into the same problem with this exact same valance, was I just took these clippers here and just went through the entire back edge of this. You can see how rough it is there. And I just clipped off about 1/4 of an inch of that plastic all the way down. So that will allow this now, because I already had put it up there to see how it fit, and now it will fit up there flush, but I did want to show you that. So anyway, since I'm showing you that, I'm just going to go ahead and show you as I progress on now. So as I told you before, when it comes time to drill these holes, I had recommended, if you have a window opening like mine where you can't have that overhang here, you need to drill the holes like here and here versus here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. The way I do that is I drill a pilot hole, which I've already done there with the very small 1/16 bit. And then I come back and I drill the larger hole, which I've already done on this end with the 1/4 inch bit. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be right back. So there are the 2 holes I just drilled, 1/4 inch. What I'm going to do now is take the valance and hold it up in the window opening and mark those 4 holes with a pencil. Then I'll lay the valance back down here, take my drill, again, get up on the ladder and drill the 4 pilot holes using a 1/16 inch bit. But it'll be much easier to drill those pilot holes without having the valance up there. And you'll figure that out if you try to hold the valance up there and try to drill while you're holding the valance in place as well. It's just not easy to do. There's no need for it. So after you drill the 4 pilot holes, then you'll take the valance back over there along with the 4 screws you're going to be using. You'll hold the valance up. You'll put these brackets in place, put the screw through the 2 holes in the bracket and screw it into the pilot holes. But as I said, do not install the bracket like this with that hook end right there in the back, but flip it around 180 degrees like that when you mount it in there. And you will find after you get that in there and everything is screwed in, and now you're going to want to put the shade itself here up, and you're going to put it into that bracket right there and then roll it into the other one. You will find that that will happen much, much easier than if you have it 180 degrees out, like it says in the directions. And that's why it took so long to do the first one, because I have these all screwed in and everything, the way the directions said, which I just could not get this to clip in. And so I had to take it all down and just like start all over. So hopefully this will save you some time, because I know it's saving me some time. So what I'm going to do now is go mark those 4 holes, drill the pilot holes, put in the clips and the valance, clip in the shade, and I'll be right back. There is the window shade and valance installed. Looks exactly like this one here, but the second one there took a lot less time to install than this first one, let me tell you. Only problem I ran into is when I was drilling the pilot holes, I ran into some concrete or mortar that must have dripped down as they were building these cinder block walls, and so I had to move the pilot holes in about another inch towards the center on both sides to avoid that obstacle there that was hidden up above the top of the window opening. But once I did that, they went in just fine. So you can move those brackets one way or the other, from one end to the other, an inch or two either way from what they say, with no problems at all. So job complete. Shade works as advertised. This is almost like the perfect time of day to show you how it works, because the sun is pouring in right here onto this table. Anybody sitting here would kind of be blinded by it. So let's pull the shade down here. And now you can see it's a much nicer situation here with that shade there blocking that sun that was coming in the morning as people would sit here at our kitchen table. So, job complete. I hope I provided you some good tips and information on how to install these Bali blinds, Cascade model from Lowe's. Again, you may find similar blinds, you may see similar hardware. And so, Cliff Bray out here, and I'll see you next time.